Folklore is something that exists in the history of all cultures, whether we realize it or not. Heck, Bigfoot is considered folklore. Folklore has always been interesting to me, and I think it's because of the copious amounts of Tinkerbell, Monster High, and Barbie movies I watched as a kid growing up. I think we owned every movie, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, folklore can range from fairies to krakens to the Loch Ness Monster. And it can be defined as the traditional beliefs, customs, and stories of a community passed through the generations by word of mouth. Therefore, any story passed through a person's lineage about a certain creature can be considered folklore. Before we dive into the stories of folklore, I need to give a disclaimer. The main source I addressed was Wikipedia because if you've ever opened a Wikipedia page, 9 times out of 10, it is packed with pages and pages of information that range from a wide variety of details. I did do some further research though and looked at other sources, but like I said, Wikipedia was my homie during this project. Also, if I get any information wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments, but also be aware that there are so many different versions of the same folklore story, and I may not have included that specific detail or version because of video length or the story I wanted to tell. Okay. Back to the fun part. Fairies are the most widely known type of folklore because of the Tooth Fairy books, the Tinkerbell franchise. But fairies were originally spelled Faeries, and the story of fairies originate from multiple European cultures. According to trusty source Wikipedia, the English fairy derives from the early modern English fairy, meaning realm of the fays. Fairy, in turn, derives from the Old French form fairy, oh my goodness, this word's gonna be the death of me. A derivation, whatever. From fae, from vulgar Latin fata, the fates. There are many different beliefs surrounding fairies depending on the culture that you study, but usually all share the ideas that they're mischievous, often causing tricks or pranks, have some sort of magical powers, and appear to look like humans. Other details are usually different. Fairies used to be believed to be more malevolent creatures that cause sickness and birth defects, while in other beliefs they were thought to be helpers that lived peacefully with humans, which pretty much contradicts what I last said, but the fact that they're mischievous was more believed than being helpful. Anyways, there were many ways to ward them off, such as turning your clothes inside out, 4-leaf clovers, etc. Some had dragonfly wings, butterfly wings, green eyes, wore armor, wore only gray clothes, and some were believed to take the shape of animals or humans. Just like the details themselves, there are multiple beliefs of how fairies came into existence, but I want to focus on the theory that fairies are elementals. This theory comes from Paracelsus. Why are there so many words I can't pronounce? Who was an alchemist that believed that fairies embodied a certain form of nature and were able to use that to project or use their magic. And similar to fairies, mermaids have been present in pop culture such as several Barbie movies, including Barbie Mermaidia, Barbie and a Mermaid Tale 1 and 2, and Barbie the Pearl Princess. There was also H2O, the Little Mermaid, and they all made this mystical creature popular. Mermaids are seen within many cultures, anywhere from Asia to Africa. So if you ask any culture if mermaids are a part of their beliefs, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get an answer from probably almost every single culture. What's all commonly acknowledged within all stories is that they have a human upper body and a fish lower body, aka a tail. The differences come into play when describing their purpose or what they do. In some cultures, they thought that they were somehow related to drowning, sea storms, and shipwrecks, while in others, they thought they were peaceful, kind creatures that bestowed good things on them or fell in love with humans. In the recorded stories, it is said that there are mermen that live alongside them, but are less believed than mermaids themselves, aka the female versions. The tales of mermaids have over time blended with those of sirens, The tales of mermaids have over time blended with those of sirens, as in some stories they're said to be seductive and singers, which is similar to what sirens are, and in turn, sirens have started to turn into mermaids, and yeah, I'll get into it later. There are various explanations for why mermaids came into existence, but over time researchers theorized that they were just hallucinations from sailors who were out at sea too long, thought some sea life like manatees or dolphins were mermaid. Even Christopher Columbus thought he saw one and recorded it in a document, so I guess everybody's a little bit insane. So, moral of the story, don't be out at sea for too long or you might think your soulmate is part fish. Which brings me to my next topic. Sirens. Sirens originally were depicted to have a bird-like body with human head, but some sculptures have a complete human body with bird wings, so I guess whatever floats your boat, no pun intended. There used to be male sirens, but they were lost over time, so only females are depicted as sirens now. Over time, more so in the Middle Ages, the image of a siren changed to be like a mermaid, as I mentioned earlier. Sirens are believed to be seductive creatures that are able to sing songs and hypnotize people. It was believed that sirens would sing their songs to pirates who were stuck at sea for too long and lure them into water before drowning them. And in my mind, I think that they eat them, cannibal style. I don't know if that's a part of folklore or if that's just my interpretation. It's probably out there somewhere. I mean, unless I'm weird. Anyways, this is actually present within the story The Odyssey, written by Homer, a book I was forced to read my freshman year of high school. It was so boring to read at first, but looking back is actually a pretty good book, and if you like Greek mythology, I'd recommend it if you're okay with old writing and things being drawn out forever. And this is the first time that sirens were mentioned or created and became a part of Greek mythology since, at least from what I could find. But like I said, there may be other recordings out there. This is from what I found. During the research process, a lot of information just talked about the Odyssey and the story of how they came to be, getting their wings, etc. Love to go further into that topic. However, it would take too much time and I could probably be a video within itself. So if you would like to see a video on just sirens, leave a comment and I will do my best to do so. Sadly, I hate to ruin this beautiful mystical mood, but I want to talk about Bigfoot since it is such a widely known folklore tale present among so many different cultures, and let's be honest, we all know who Bigfoot is. There are many different stories of an ape-like creature that is inhumanly tall and walks upright on its 2 feet. They may go under different names such as the Yeti, that's present within Asian culture, and many other forms of Bigfoot. Whether you believe Bigfoot is a hoax or not and it's just someone in a gorilla costume wandering around in the woods with their friend filming them with the quality of a Nintendo DS, there are recorded sightings, and so when I talk about this information, I'm gonna act like he's real, but if there is an explanation for why it's a hoax, I will include that too. Spoiler alert, I did. Also, I think he's real because we haven't explored a majority of our forests. Heck, we still have to yet to identify 40% of a tree's species. Just species. Not even the forests themselves, the species. I said species in 2 different ways. Anyways, I will do my best to keep my bias out of the information. The first recorded sighting of Bigfoot was in 1811 by David Thompson when he was exploring Alberta, Canada, but recorded abnormally large footprints in his notebook during his exploration. Another popular story is of Jerry Crew and Andrew Genzoli, one of those, in 1958 in Humboldt County, California. Jerry Crew was a bulldozer operator for a logging company and was working in Six Rivers National Forest when this incident took place. He alerted his coworkers when he found 16-inch footprints that were sunk deep into the mud, and his coworkers had admitted seeing footprints like those in the mud too. They also noted how oil drums would be left in a specific area but then suddenly be moved to a different spot. For some context, an oil drum can weigh up to 450 pounds or 200 kilograms, so try deadlifting that. Andrew Genzoli, whichever way you want to say it, was contacted, so he recorded this information and asked the workers what they had seen or experienced for publishing in a news article in the Humboldt Times. Though there are recorded stories Bigfoot can be mistaken for anything, usually people spot a bear, human, escaped apes, I don't know how they must live near zoos, and just overall misidentification of sounds or nature. Multiple people have actually been shot because of someone thought they were Bigfoot. Well, I guess I'll keep my eyes out whenever I go hiking in a forest and make sure nobody's there with a gun. So the last one we're going to be talking about today is Mothman. Similar to Bigfoot, there are multiple stories of seeing or encountering Mothman, and it's one of those stories that some people believe are real, while others think it's a tall tale. Personally, I don't think he's real, but I do think it's possible for some sort of creature like a Mothman to exist. So if somebody were to present me with concrete evidence that he's real or some sort of creature is real, I'd believe it. So Mothman is a tall, muscular creature that is described to have bird-like wings, even though he's called Mothman. I don't get it either. He should have moth wings, I guess. His wings are said to spread up to 10 feet. His facial features aren't really described by the witnesses, as the original sighting that took place stated that his eyes were hypnotizing, making it difficult to see the rest of his face. Mothman is a staple of West Virginia culture, as the first sighting of him took place there. Happened at Point Pleasant, West Virginia, on November 15th, 1966, when 2 couples were driving down a road. They saw a creature that stood 6 to 7 feet tall, glowing red eyes, and large wings. They tried to speed off, but the creature flew after them, even when they were driving at an alarmingly fast speed, screeching at them the entire way. It stopped pursuing pursuing them when they reached city limits, and they eventually reported this to a paper. After the incident, multiple people came forward telling their stories of their own experiences where they had seen a creature that looked similar to the one described in the papers. Even if he's real, people have dismissed his sightings to large herons, sandhill cranes, vultures, and because of the Batman craze at the time. Even if he is real, well, like I said before, I personally don't believe in Mothman, but I do think it's possible that a thing like him could exist. Also, Mothman is such a cool name, but he's not a moth. He shouldn't be called like Birdman or Owlman because there's already an Owlman in folklore in the UK, but he doesn't look like a moth. Moths are also one of my special interests, so yeah. I love folklore. Folklore is so interesting and there's so much out there. Even if I dedicated my whole life to learning about and discovering all the folklore stories of each and every culture, I still wouldn't learn about everything. But if you want to learn more folklore, leave a comment and I'll make another video because I like yapping and folklore if you couldn't tell.